Hey there. um, I'm going to now do a clip on Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8, which is often used by those who want to cast doubt on the preservation of the Torah in order to prove that from the text of the Tanakh itself, from the text of the Bible itself, there is testimony that the Bible has been corrupted intentionally and is therefore untrustworthy. The type of translation that they want to use of Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 8 in order to prove this usually goes something like this. How can you say that we are sages and the Torah of the Transcendent One is with us? For behold, certainly the pen of the scribe has worked for a lie, or the pen has worked falsely, and the scribes a lie. Now, what I want to do here is show how this is, one, not a very good translation, and that there are about three other main ways that the verse can be translated in a more accurate manner, and two, that in the context of this verse, there is a much better and logical understanding of the intention of the verse, other than what is given by those who want to discount the preservation of the Torah, the law of Moses. So the main words that they're working with in this verse in order to prove their misleading point is the word Torah itself, where it says, how can you say that the Torah of the Transcendent One is with us? For this, they want to assume that this means that the Torah of the law of Moses has been corrupted. So first we need to know what Torah means. The word Torah literally means instruction or guidance in the context of divine revelation or guidance. Alright? So this word Torah doesn't only refer to the law of Moses. You see in the law of Moses itself that the word Torah has more than one application, as it's used in the plural form in Exodus chapter 18 verse 20 for different specific types of laws. We see in Deuteronomy chapter 17 verse 8 through 10 that the word Torah is also used in reference to the decrees and rulings of the Mosaic court, which Moses established in order to teach the people how to uphold the divine commandments. The word Torah is also used in reference to the instruction of prophets after Moses. It's also used in reference to the commandments of a righteous king, such as 1 Samuel chapter 10 verse 25, and on and on. So that's the first thing. Even if they want to understand this verse is referring to some sort of corruption in the Torah, it's a leap to say that it's specifically the law of Moses that has been corrupted. It could be referring to a type of corruption among any of these other various uses of the term Torah. The next term, which they misuse, is the word that they like to translate as lie or falsehood. The more correct, in the context of this verse, translation of the word shaker, though in modern Hebrew it's usually used for lie, in the Hebrew Bible it has four main uses. The meaning of falsehood, the meaning of wrongful doing, the meaning of vanity, and in the sense of a lie. Alright? The more consistent way of translating this text is in the sense of vanity. And I will first give you some examples of where it's used in the sense of vanity elsewhere in the Bible. Psalm chapter 33 verse 17 states, For a horse is vain for safety, neither does it afford escape by its great strength. And also, not very long before the book of Jeremiah in chapter 8 verse 8, we find in the book of Jeremiah itself, chapter 3 verse 23, certainly hills are a vain thing for salvation in the great mass of the mountains. Truly, in the Transcendent One, our venerable authority is the salvation of Israel. So we see precedents for translating this term as vain and not as lie or falsehood, even within the book of Jeremiah itself. So I will now give you 3 alternative ways of translating this verse. 1. How can you say, we are sages, and the Torah of the Transcendent One is with us? For behold, certainly the pen has worked in vain, and the scribes in vain. Or you could translate it, assuredly in vain the lying pen of the scribes has dealt. That would mean that though they dealt in falsehood, some particular scribes, it is in vanity that they did so. It will not succeed. Assuredly in vain the lying pen of the scribes has dealt. Additionally, you can translate it as certainly the pen has worked for falsehood, the falsehood of scribes. Now, if you want to take it in a sense of falsehood, there's another thing that should be taken into account, and that is that even if it were actually corrupted, having in mind that we don't know which type of instruction, which type of Torah was corrupted yet, even if it were actually corrupted, alright, we see in the continuation of the book of Jeremiah itself of an example of this very thing. And that is in Jeremiah chapter 36. There we see that the Almighty commanded Jeremiah to write a letter to the people of Israel. It was to be presented in the temple where the people gather, where there are judges and leaders of the people, etc., and to be read. It is to encourage the people of Israel to repent in order to prevent calamity from falling upon them. So Jeremiah's scribe, just as there's a scribe mentioned in the book of Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 8, his scribe in chapter 36 writes the words of the Lord, alright, and the prophetic words of the Lord. This is also a type of Torah, but it's not the law of Moses. Then this letter gets sent by Jeremiah's scribe, Baruch, to the people who have gathered in the temple. He reads it. And then other scribes who are working for the king, apparently a corrupt king, come and encounter him and request that the letter be taken to the king. They begin reading the letter in front of the king, and the king doesn't like what he hears. So what does the king do? He has the letter, the Torah of a prophet other than Moses, not the law of Moses. He has this letter written by the word of the Lord through Jeremiah be cut up with the razor of the sharp cutting utensil of a scribe, and he has it burned, destroyed. So here we see that the pen of the scribe Baruch, a righteous scribe, it worked in vain, to no avail. But despite the fact that the other scribes, the wicked scribes, worked for falsehood in trying to destroy this prophecy and rebuke of Jeremiah, though they worked for falsehood by trying to destroy it, and Baruch worked in vain in writing it, yet it will be restored. And that is why even the bad scribes worked in vain, because we see in the continuation of chapter 36 in the book of Jeremiah that the Almighty restored this prophecy. Chapter 36, verse 27. And it was that the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah after the burning of the scroll which the king had done.